The Canning Stock Route is one of the world's longest and most remote public tracks. Totaling 1,700 kilometers, a little over 1,000 miles, it's the longest cattle stock route ever surveyed. It was just 87 years ago that the last cattle drive was undertaken along Alfred Canning's stock route, and only 45 years ago that the first four-wheel drive explorers attempted to retrace the route. Today it's as remote as it ever was, and while it is no doubt less rough and demanding, it is described in Hemmer's Great Desert Trails book like this. No track compares with a Canning stock route in terms of sheer distance and mechanical and physical endurance required. It is Australia's toughest four-wheel drive trek. It is thanks to the tireless efforts of individuals that not only keeps this trail open to explorers like us, but makes it possible by restoring the wells and the water they provide. So it's good. That's very nice, actually. I invite you now to join us on our 22-day expedition on the world's longest public track. This is an example of an opening to an entire series. I'm inviting the audience to take part, come with me and travel on a multiple series. Not just inviting them to watch the video that I'm about to present them, to actually watch the series of videos that I've put together. And what I've done is that I've combined, I needed to come up with something very impactful right away. Very careful with my choice of music. We will do music choices later in the course. Very important. Finding an impactful piece of music, find a very impactful shot or series of shots, and then combine it with narrative that explains the motivation for the trip. Why are we doing it? What is the plan? And what is the goal? Very important. What is the goal? Your audience will then hopefully, see that as, that is a worthwhile goal. I'd like to follow that. Give them a taste of what to come. Choose your best moments from your entire shoot. This is where to put them in. And remember, vitally, the soundtrack, the audio is every bit as important as the video content. So right now it's a very dramatic shot to begin with. Totaling 1,700 kilometers, a little over 1,000 miles, it's the longest cattle stock route ever surveyed. It was just 87 years ago that the last... A little bit of history. Give it relevance. That the last cattle drive was undertaken along Alfred Canning's stock route. What is very important here is to not give too much information. You're giving a taste, you're giving a whiff, you're just getting a smell of what's to come. This isn't the place to give a lot of information. This is the place to tease. Very important to remember that. And only 45 years ago that the first four-wheel drive explorers attempted to retrace the route. Today it's as remote as it ever was, and while it is no doubt less rough and demanding, it is described in Hemmer's Great Desert Trails book like this. No track compares with a Canning stock route in terms of sheer distance and mechanical and physical endurance required. It is Australia's toughest four-wheel drive trek. The purpose of actually getting in the opinion of another about what we're doing, in this case it was a magazine, isn't that a good idea? It just gives another endorsement, a second endorsement that what you are doing and what you're attempting to do is worthwhile and what you say or claim it is. It is thanks to the tireless efforts of individuals that not only keeps this trail open to explorers like us, but makes it possible by restoring the wells and the water they provide. That's good. A little snippet, just a little grab. I grabbed a frame, a moment on the trail.
that says something about the trail. Okay, not just a moment, but a moment that says something about the trail that is a little bit unusual. Oh, that's interesting. I'm giving a little piece of information. And in this particular case, I'm drinking water straight out of the well. That is saying to the audience, and let's be analytical about this, it's saying to the audience, there are wells. They might not know that, but there are wells. They've got water in them. The water is drinkable. That's quite unusual. So it's a little snippet of what's to come, a promise of better things to come. That's very nice, actually.
I invite you now to join us on our 22-day expedition on the world's longest public track.
A direct invitation, and then you get into the story. Don't hang about. More to come later. I'm going to ask your forgiveness right now for this one, because I'm going to get very passionate about this and I might actually start yelling. That's how you open a video, by the way. Okay, to get your audience to watch. Okay. I'm going to talk about amateur traps. What I mean by that is with cameras, but particularly with editing software, there are little things that you can do, clever little programming that is built into the software that enable filmmakers to completely destroy every effort to look professional. I'm going to play a scene here. The scene is this amazing place, and we've been promising this night photography, and I'm gonna show it to you now, and then I'm gonna mess it up.
Well, as you can see, the sun is down and the moon is up, and the time lapse is still working, and we've had a marvelous time shooting pictures.
They're called transitions.
And the time lapse is still working, and we've had a marvelous time shooting pictures.
In every editing package, there are the basic transitions, which are dissolves. That's one image moving into another. And there are all of the others. I don't know how to express myself strongly enough about this. Never, ever use any of the others. I don't care what kind of filmmaking you're doing. I don't care what never, ever, unless there are an exception, unless you want your audience to think that you are a blithering idiot and a complete novice and you've never, ever, 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 ever done this before, and you really want, I mean, it's... I see it quite often. I've seen a compilation of stills. It's not video, so somebody had put some music, which actually at the time I remember was quite good. Quite a good music choice. That's the other thing, we're going to get to that. Quite a good music choice, pictures, and then they'd put those transitions between them and utterly ruined it. The pictures were good, the photographs were very good. Ruined it. Ruined, worthless garbage. What these transitions do is they scream to your audience, I am an amateur and I have no idea what I'm doing. And the reason is very, very simple. As I've said before, every component of your video is there to communicate something to your audience. What does this communicate to your audience? It says, I don't know what I'm doing. What else does it do? It does nothing. A, it's ugly. B, it serves no purpose, and it can never serve a purpose other than, hey, look, I've got some clever software. That's the depth of the communication of this kind of transition. So, never use them. Ever. I did say earlier on that there was one that you could use. It's called a dissolve. And this is what it looks like. The purpose of a dissolve is to gently move from one frame to another. In this particular scene, done properly, I don't think I used any. Because they weren't contributing, they weren't adding to it. If they're not going to add to it, don't use it. Only if they add to it. So if you want to use dissolves and soften the cut from one scene to another, try it. If it contributes, use it. If when the two images are mixed, it looks funny and awkward, get rid of it and use a cut. Using music in our stories. Music can easily make or break a good story. The best way to break a story with music is to use the wrong music that evokes the wrong emotion. Let me put it this way. In your story, whatever your story happens to be, you will have an emotion attached to it. For example, let's say there is a character. You're telling the story about a person and they have done something. They're now expressing it and they're feeling a certain way. Or the storyline is expressing an emotion being conveyed to the viewer. Music is often a very good way to embellish that emotion. So here's number one. This is number one. Music is used to embellish an existing emotion, not necessarily to create an emotion. Okay, it's really, really good at lifting and fluffing up an emotion that already exists. But only if the music, the emotion evoked by the music matches that of the story, or matches that of the character, or matches that you wish the audience to feel. So you have a character, they're feeling a certain way. You want your audience to feel that way. So you need to find music that feels that precise way. If it is contrary to the character, the story, if the music fights with it emotionally, then the music can utterly kill a story. And this is on all levels. I have now this is the final episode in my travel series. And we have now landed at this place where we're now presenting this. It's an incredible place of great beauty and solitude, and these are the emotions attached to it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through this episode, and I seem to remember there are 3, maybe 4 pieces of music in this episode, and I'm going to tell you my motivation on why I used music at that point, what was the emotion I was trying to convey, and then we can ask if it works or not. Let's begin at the beginning.
My name is Andrew St. Pierre White.
That there is my YouTube sting. I'm going to ignore that for now. The opening scene. It's very lonely. A lonely, desolate place always works well with a lonely, desolate musical instrument. If this was a very busy track, it would be contrary to the emotion of the place. This particular place is absolutely desolate, isolated. That's the whole story. The story is about a very, very isolated place. So right up front, the music I have used has that feeling of desolation. Okay, we're going to get more into how I found the piece of music in a minute. Let's just go on to the next bit, which is a combination here. If you listen carefully, I've combined the music with a sound effect. The sound effect in this case is a cry of a jackal. The cry of a jackal also has that same emotion. It has the emotion of loneliness. It's slightly mysterious. It's a beautiful sound, and it works, and it has a similar emotion to the music and the place. Listen carefully. So I have linked. The call of the jackal is the link, the sound effect, the link between the opening and the signature sting. It bridges the two, but it also has the right emotional attachment. From the YouTube sting, listen to how I go from the sting into the actual content. The story begins. Listen.
Going for an early morning climb over the island.
Going for a more, and then you hear in the background another jackal. No, it bridges the sound. It's almost a way of saying to the audience, we're still here. We're still in the same place. It's a lovely bridge. Sound effects are very, very powerful in that respect, particularly if the sound effects have an emotional attachment to them, which this does.
Sun is just coming up.
Okay, no music at this point, just kind of getting straight into the story, talking about the trees, talking about walking, and then these beautiful baobab trees that are part of the story. But I talk about the trees, but then I want to show the trees without talking about them. I could talk about that they grow for 1,000 years and that the Latin name and all of the things about them, but this isn't so much a nature show as a travel show. So what I wanted to do was to show this beautiful place and to remind the viewers that we're here and this in its visually very beautiful. Let's have a look and to see how the music works with this particular piece.
Look at this thing.
Did you notice the sound effect of my feet? I haven't taken away the natural sound effects under the music. Now in this particular place, there's very little sound. There were very few birds, very little sound. It's an incredibly quiet place. Here's the second thing. Never, ever, unless the sound of the natural sound is actually disturbing and wrong, unless it's disturbing and wrong, do not remove it and replace it with music. It's a very, very common mistake made by young filmmakers. Music does not replace sound effects. Never. No, don't. Okay, so sound effects, natural sound effects are unbelievably valuable to your story. The sound effects are the things that give it emotion without trying, because they're just there. So you can imagine a beach scene. What do you want to hear over a beach scene? You want to hear the waves crashing, you want to hear the wind, you want to hear the gulls, you might want to hear children laughing. Those are the sounds that make a beach a beach. Not just some beautiful shots of waves. The sound enriches and fills the story, not the music. And again, matching the music to the emotion. So here was a bit difficult because there were no sounds. It's an incredibly quiet place. So where I could, I put the sound effect of my feet, and then I'll continue the music like this.
Later yesterday afternoon,
This aircraft. I've used a piece of music. I'm going to repeat it. Listen to this piece of music. Something happens in the music which is almost like a key to a change. Listen.
later yesterday afternoon,
You see, it's almost like a gradual thank you piece of music. You've given me a beautiful little bridge there, where my voice comes in, then you see me talk. My voice comes in before you see me. My voice comes in underneath. So my voice comes in over the shot of the airplane. You don't see me, but you hear my voice. Then you see me with the plane. It's softer. Doing it with the music, music comes in under, my voice comes in, then you see me. As opposed to cutting to me, talking to camera, boom, hard. By bridging it like that, I've softened it.
this aircraft landed here. It's a Sling 4.
So the music just gradually dies out because the emotion that I had created earlier is now changing. It's now becoming more factual. It's not the beautiful trees and this kind of lilting, kind of loneliness of that first piece of music. It's changing now. Beware of using music too long. Okay, music can easily be boring. If the visuals aren't really rich, don't run the music to match the visuals. Run the music, well, limit the music to the visuals. Because if you've got too much music and poor visuals, your viewers will get bored. Get on with the story. Okay, so it's a balancing act. Don't be scared to cut the music and keep the music short.